Hey guys, this is Plutonium here and welcome to a new Minecraft video. But it seems like today I'm not in my regular Minecraft world. I mean, generally you guys see me playing in a sandstone Minecraft world, but in reality we are neither in a sandstone Minecraft world nor are we in the Java version of Minecraft. Yes guys, today we are in the Bedrock Edition, and you can see that right on the top left of my screen I can see my coordinates, and that definitely gives away that this is indeed Bedrock Edition. But I actually did not want to make any videos on Bedrock Edition because simply the Redstone in Bedrock Edition just lags behind Java Edition like so much, and I just don't like it. Like let's begin by talking about some things, and the first thing is that definitely there's no quasi connectivity in Java Edition. This thing is like a boon, although it's a bug, but it's so useful in all of my builds. Pretty much all of them will break here in Bedrock Edition, and you can see it's just because of this, but not but I guess this is a bit good because then quasi connectivity does pose some problems inside of Java Edition, but here when it's not existent you can just easily avoid any unwanted powering, which is quite nice. Alright, now moving ahead, there's also this thing which is called piston block dropping, which does exist in Minecraft Java Edition, and it actually means that when you give a one tick pulse or shorter to a sticky piston, like to this observer, this block will actually get spitted out by our sticky piston. But in Bedrock Edition, that's not the case. It just got extended and then got re-retracted back. I mean, not only that, Redstone in Bedrock Edition is very slow and it's very random. Although you can just let's talk about the slowness of the Redstone in Bedrock Edition. Here I have in front of me a 2 by 2 sorry, not a 2 by 2, it's a 3 by 3 piston door which is a 2 block wide design, and the credit for this design definitely goes to the Bowtie Man. You should definitely go watch his videos. He's an awesome YouTuber. And also you should also watch my videos, and also if you don't want to miss any more videos from me, you need to definitely go and click that subscribe button. It's red, it's under my video. You should make it gray, and also if you mind, you can just also ring the bell so that you can always get notifications for future videos. Alright, moving on, we have this 3 by 3 piston door for Bedrock Edition. Now you can see on the closing side is pretty fast, but on the opening side it is much slower. In Java Edition, Redstone is much faster, but we can't do anything about the Redstone in Bedrock Edition. This door is indeed quite fast if we talk about Bedrock Edition. Players who actually play Bedrock Edition, this door is pretty awesome. But this is not what we have come to discuss. I actually was recording this video because there are some quirks inside of Bedrock Edition which actually don't exist in Java Edition, and I really like these quirks when they exist in Bedrock Edition. I really want them to exist in Java Edition. So let's have a look at 7 of these quirks that are really useful in Bedrock Edition, which I would really like to see in Java Edition in the future, maybe? Or maybe not. Alright, let's move on. And yes, in the previous clip I actually realized that the background music was running on, and now I've turned it off, so I guess you wouldn't have any more problems with that. So now let's move on. First on our list is movable tile entities. Now in Java Edition, whatever counts as a tile entity, like in behind me you can see that there's a chest or a furnace, dropper or dispenser, a hopper, a barrel, or even a beehive or bee nest. Basically all of these things cannot be pushed by a piston inside of Java Edition, but in Bedrock Edition you can. Now you can see if I flick the lever, these slime blocks actually stick to all of these tile entities and they actually get pushed by a piston, and if they can be pushed, they can also be pulled back. Now this thing is so useful because then you can do all sorts of things inside of Bedrock Edition with all of these things. Like you can make mobile storage systems, like all of those things which are so useful because they can efficiently fit inside a small space as well. And in Java Edition this is not actually possible without using mods, and yeah, so that's the limitation of Java Edition, which does exist in Bedrock. But however, there are still things which cannot be pushed by a piston. Obviously things which are made using obsidian, like the respawn anchor, the ender chest, obsidian itself, then beacons, then you have the enchanting table, shulker boxes. All of these things cannot be pushed by a piston in Bedrock Edition as well, so you can just try this thing out by coming to this end. I'll flick the lever. You can see that the slime blocks simply slide past everything. There's still a lot more blocks like bedrock, definitely. And then you have the grindstone, the anvil. You also have the node blocks. Sorry, not the node blocks, the jukeboxes. All of these things cannot be pushed by a piston, even inside of Bedrock Edition. Although that might not be a problem, but this thing is a very good feature, and that's why it's right at the top of our list. So let's move on to our second item. Now, when the B update was first introduced to Minecraft, I was actually really excited about the new type of slime block, which should actually not stick to the original slime block, which is actually the honey block. And this thing actually started a big revolution in the world of flying machines, because then you can just place two flying machines right next to each other without having the problem of them sticking. And this was quite a nice addition to the game. But the problem with honey blocks inside of Java Edition is that you can't actually power through a honey block, because a honey block is a transparent block in Java Edition. But look at this. In Bedrock Edition, we have solid honey blocks. It's the same as slime blocks. So basically, if you want to make a flying machine inside of Bedrock Edition, you can just simply use slime or honey as interchangeable blocks, because they will just simply work the same. Except that you might want to use honey because entities do stick to honey blocks. So if you want to stand on a flying machine without just getting bounced off or something, you can just use a honey block flying machine, and that will work completely great. Now let's move on. Although this is a really small feature, it was just a little thing to talk about, but this thing is also a very good addition. And so I guess let's move on to our next thing on the list. You guys must have heard about slab towers, right? Everyone knows about redstone slab towers, but you can see that you can also use glass instead of slabs. It works pretty much the same. You can see that when we flick this lever at the bottom, the redstone travels up top. We can do the same for the glass. You can see that the redstone actually travels up, and this is very familiar to many of the redstone people who actually build redstone contraptions. But there's one problem inside of Java Edition related to transparent blocks, is that redstone power cannot travel down a transparent block. So basically, we have these transparent blocks behind us, which are the slabs and the glass. But in Bedrock Edition, for glass, redstone can also travel downwards. So basically, we can flick the lever at the bottom here. This redstone line can travel up, the redstone power can go up. But if you flick the lever on the top here, it will also go down. This thing is so versatile. You can actually use it to create versatile redstone slab towers, or rather glass towers, because then you can actually have a redstone line going both up and down the same redstone line, which is so good. Although in Java Edition you can't do such a thing, and then you have to create a really long redstone line just going down, or you might have to add in a bit of delay using some redstone torches or repeaters or whatever you might want to use to just make your redstone go down. That is a huge problem, because if it causes any delay, you might have some problems in making any redstone contraptions. But here in Bedrock Edition, there's absolutely no delay. You can just simply use this. But there's still a limitation. You cannot still just do it with slabs, because slabs still work normally. You can't have a redstone line going down a slab and it'll just conduct. That's not the case in case of slabs, but it doesn't really matter. You can just use glass instead of slabs, and everything is quite well. Now let's move on to our next thing. For this part of the video, we have to go slightly underwater. Now you guys know that water and redstone don't really do great together, right? But in Bedrock Edition, they can actually do great. Because in front of me you can see that we have a little pond, and inside of it you can see the thing that many people in Java Edition want to do really bad, and that is to be able to place redstone components underwater. You can see that we have placed comparators. We can place comparators, repeaters, levers, pressure plates, even tripwires and buttons all underwater without them actually popping off, which is really great. However, in Java Edition you cannot do that, but in Bedrock Edition there's still the limitation of not being able to place redstone as well as redstone torches underwater. You can just see that I'm trying my hardest. You cannot see me, but I'm really trying my hardest to place redstone or a redstone torch down in the water, but I simply cannot do it because it's simply a game mechanic and that's how the game works. Alright, let's move on to our next thing. maybe I just spoke a little bit too fast in the previous clip, right? Okay, let's take it slow. Okay, so you guys know that water and redstone don't really go together, but oh no, this clip is a disaster. Okay, I guess we should simply move on to our next thing on the list, and that is the most requested thing by many Java Edition players to be added inside of Java Edition, and that is to be able to place any redstone component on the side of a piston even when it is extended. Now in Java Edition, when you actually place a redstone component on the side of a piston, basically not the piston arm, but also not the opposite side of the piston arm, on the side of the piston, or basically the top, whatever, when the piston extends, that thing actually pops off. But it doesn't in Bedrock. You can place all of the redstone components, including the levers, redstone dust, redstone torches, comparators, buttons, repeaters, as well as pressure plates, and they will still not pop off. It is such a good thing. You can see that I'm flicking the lever on and off and on, but the redstone just stays there. This thing is so useful because now it can be really easy to compact your things, because then you can just easily place your activation devices right on top of the components you actually want to power, and that's a really good thing, I shall say so. That's a really good thing, and I guess now I'm running out of words. Let's move on to our next thing. This feature is probably what I think is I would like this feature to be added inside of Java Edition, and that is the fact that redstone can connect to regular pistons or sticky pistons. I mean, it connects to general pistons inside of Bedrock Edition. This is so nice. But actually, there's one thing that you guys might not have known about Bedrock Edition redstone, is that pistons are actually a redstone component. Now, a redstone component is basically anything that redstone dust connects to, and pistons are actually a part of that. So let me show you. Yes, that's how it works. I just did it to be completely sure, so that you guys are also completely sure that this thing actually does exist inside of Bedrock Edition. You can see that when I flick the lever on and off, the piston extends and then it retracts. Now, inside of Java Edition, this is not actually a case, where basically if you actually make the same setup inside of Java Edition, the redstone line will just completely run straight past these pistons, and it will just not do anything whatsoever to these pistons. Now, the only way to power them would be like to place them over a block which is to the side of these pistons, or maybe then run some repeaters, or have the redstone just configured to run into this block, or maybe use some target block mechanics which have been recently added. But in Bedrock Edition, no such complications, and it is much faster because there is absolutely no delay once again. And yeah, so after that, let's move on to a final thing on the list. This feature, although being last on our list, is a climax. It's an absolute game changer inside of Bedrock Edition. Although this is a bug, and this bug actually relates to torches and pistons. So basically what I have here as a setup is that whenever a piston is activated, whether it's extended or not, I've just added in obsidian so that the pistons just don't keep extending and retracting, because that just causes a lot of noise. So I just completely made it silent. So what is going on here is that whenever something powers a piston, be it regular or sticky, and if we have a redstone torch on the face, I mean on any one of the sides of the piston, it will actually turn off. Although this doesn't seem quite useful, but it's basically like a solid block, but it's not a solid block. It's actually a bug, and I actually really like this bug. This bug is really interesting because no matter in any which way you power the piston, the torch will turn off. Like if you place a redstone torch next to the piston, it will still turn off. Like even if we even remotely power the piston, you can actually turn off a redstone torch from a really far off distance. Like look at this. This repeater has nothing to do with this redstone torch. Still it turns off, because this repeater is simply powering that piston on which the redstone torch is standing. Now this bug is such a game changer, and it's actually similar to quasi connectivity inside of Java Edition. So kudos to Bedrock players for having such a super duper crazy awesome exciting bug. That's too many adjectives. inside of the game. Now this thing is so versatile, you can actually use this inside of like really super fast redstone clocks like this one, just flashing really fast. And you can see that there's also some different shapes of redstone torch towers which you can actually create. This is also quite good. So basically you can create any kind of redstone torch tower in any sort of direction. And that's how that's one example you can see right here. You can see that this torch is turned on, which means it powers this piston, which means this torch will turn off, which is not powering this piston, which means this torch will remain on, and this will actually power, so this torch will turn off. This is a really exciting bug. I was to say that there's so many things inside of Bedrock Edition that make it so versatile. Like if you talk about the solid honey blocks, the two-way glass redstone towers, or these bugs. I mean, Redstone in Bedrock Edition is so versatile, you can do pretty much everything, but there are still those limitations like redstone being random, or the non-existence of things like quasi connectivity or piston block dropping. Um, enough, enough saying bad things about Bedrock Edition Redstone. I would like to thank you guys so much for watching the video, and if you did like the video, please leave a like down for this video, and also be sure to subscribe and ring the bell so that you never miss any more future videos, as I had already said earlier. And in the end, I would say I'll see you in the next video. Bye.